My my name's Jonathan Israel. I'm the Executive Vice President of Sales globally here at Astrato. Pleasure today to be joined by a wealth of knowledge, great information, and subject matter experts. I'm actually in the middle of New York State in the Finger Lakes region. If anyone out there wants to let us know where you're calling in from, as we do more and more of these, we want to make sure we're hitting the right time zones. But it's my pleasure, and I'll start on the left-hand side of the screen to introduce Joe Warbington. Joe, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey everybody, Joe Warbington. I am currently based in Tampa Bay, Florida. We're about to jet north because it's getting far too hot and the kids are about to get out of school. At Snowflake, I'm the healthcare principal, industry principal, and I get to see what customers are doing around the globe. I have worked with the folks on the line here for many years too, because I come to Snowflake from Astrato. So really happy to be here. Looking forward to this and feel like old-time friends with everybody in the line too. Good to see you all.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Over to you, Ryan.
Hey all, I'm Ryan. I'm a CTO at SwitchRCM and also CEO and co-founder of a small startup over called EDI Analytics. Currently, I'm based in Colorado Springs, Colorado, but at the moment, I'm over in Long Beach with Melissa.
Nice. Thanks. And over to you, Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa Pluke. I'm one of the co-founders of SwitchRCM and currently serve as the Chief Analytics Officer there. I am, as Ryan mentioned, I am based in the South Bay of Los Angeles, California, for those of you that are in other countries.
There's not more than one Los Angeles that I'm aware
yes.
of.
It's very American to assume people know our cities, though. So
get it. I get it. Appreciate it. So I'm going to set the stage here for you guys that are joining us, and certainly appreciate you taking a little bit of your time to understand kind of the modern stack for embedded analytics, customer facing, and healthcare analytics. The end of the day, you're whoa, that went fast. You have a lot of data inside of your organization, and as we talk with clients and prospects, and probably Joe the same, helping organizations understand that your data is really a gold mine and sort of inside of your organization. And looking at something like this for a healthcare organization or a hospital to be able to, monitor things very quickly, but then we're going to talk about how you can potentially monetize that with your customers. But, as you can see, there's a lot of data here, and to be able to create some analytics and some really good insights very quickly oftentimes is a big struggle for a lot of the organizations we deal with. Astrato is built to kind of be the top layer of the modern BI data stack. So sitting on top of Snowflake, where the pipelines, the ETL, all of the reporting optimization, all of that is done early on and in a governed and secure way. And then Astrato comes in and sits on top, and not to talk a whole lot about this, but to be able to create dashboards, reporting, true data explorations, alerts, collaboration with inside of your team and write back, as well as the native capability to bring in Gen AI and Cortex directly into the product to create a whole lot more than you ever thought possible. That's really the purpose behind Astrato. So when we talk to organizations, there's multiple reasons why to embed your analytics. I won't go through all of these, but a lot of organizations we work with are finding ways to monetize their data and actually create revenue streams for the organization, as well as create a clear ROI and make your product stickier inside of your clients' organizations, as well as to be able to ship much faster than ever possible. We have a lot of clients that are building dashboards in 1 to 2 days, as well as reports, rather than oftentimes weeks or months. The age-old question of do we build or do we buy it? Where do you really want to spend your time? Where do you really want to make that financial investment inside of your organization? With Astrato, make it quite easy, in fairness, but oftentimes when you're coming to building, there's lots of high development costs, lots of painful maintenance. Security and compliance always is the top of most organizations, especially if you're dealing with highly sensitive data inside of your organization. We really make it a whole lot easier for you. And worst case scenario, if you build it on your own, oftentimes your embedded analytics are going to be very basic and uninspiring, and they're going to find other alternatives. So with us, Astrato, it's very agile. We have a low code, no code approach, which gives you a lot faster time to market. Very iterative, so make it easy to make changes on the fly without a lot of downtime. And as I mentioned, bringing in Cortex to really bring in that Gen AI natively to create wow use cases for your customers and oftentimes internal analytics. And then with Strato, you're fully compliant. So ISO 27001, SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, to name a couple. If there's things that are missing that are important to your organization, reach out to us and we can see about getting those certifications. With that, I am going to turn it over to Melissa. Melissa's going to talk about their journey at SwitchRCM, some of the things they've been able to accomplish as they modernize their data stack, moving off of a legacy product. Melissa, over to you.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right. Okay, so just a background on SwitchRCM. We are a healthcare revenue cycle company in the United States. We have a variety of products that we work on. Most of our products focus on X12 data, which Ryan will get into the details of that later. But essentially, X12 data is a standard format that allows you to send data to someone and then receive that data in a format that you are used to. Our products that use that data are our professional billing underpayments product that I work on, as well as claims routing, interest and penalties, and a newer product called IDR. All of these products use that data and transform it in Snowflake in different ways to produce value add and allow our clients to take action on that data. We also have another product called EDI Analytics, which focuses on a EMR in the United States called Epic. We take data from that and then also use Astrato and Snowflake to provide analytics on that. So as a background, we started, myself and my husband started our company in 2017. And about a year later, Ryan Clarke came on as employee number 1. And for a long time, it was just the 3 of us. We were slow to grow. We have seen a lot of other healthcare tech startups in the market grow too fast and essentially implode. And we were not looking to do that. We have had slow and steady growth over the last 7.5 years, and we are still under 50 employees. We have focused on hiring experts in the industry, in the healthcare space. So we have a lot of people that are really, really good at that X12 data and just knowing the industry. Okay, so when we started at Switch, it was, again, just myself and my husband. We are both ex-Epic employees. We are, as I like to say, tech adjacent. So neither of us have a technical background. And our original way of analyzing the data and presenting it was we used ClickSense. I have a background in BI, so I was familiar with ClickView, ClickSense, Tableau, those kind of tools. And we hired a managed AWS service. It was really easy to set up without needing that technical expertise. However, it was very high cost. Managed AWS services are typically 3 to 4 times what you would pay on your own. So it limited our ability to scale. So about a year into our journey, Ryan came on, and Ryan obviously has a technical background, being our CTO. He was able to come in and bring the AWS services in-house and manage those. That gave us a lot of flexibility in how we wanted to add services, how we wanted to manage things, and obviously it reduced costs significantly. The other big thing that happened at that point in time is that we added that X12 data to broaden the scope of our products. So we had started with that EDI Analytics that I spoke about on the last slide. And now at this point in time, we added that X12 and then had started developing all of those other products that we spoke about. At this time, we also added VizLib on top of our ClickSense. So VizLib was able to allow us to customize the ClickSense applications a little bit more to fit with our theme of Switch and what we wanted it to look like. But we were still limited to what Click could offer. So it was not something that we were satisfied with the long term, but it was a good upgrade at that point in time. That said, Clarke is very expensive to run. The RAM that is needed requires large servers and whatnot. So between the AWS, the Clarke, and the Visible cost, we were still worried about our ability to scale. And at this point in time, we also had applications that were fragmented. So I was able to work on something, or someone was able to work on something else. It was all Clarke scripts in the background, and it wasn't something that was set up for multiple developers to work on, which leads us to our next slide, please. Our next version of our platform, which is our current platform. So again, Ryan being more technical than Nate and myself, Ryan was able to develop an integrated platform that uses a variety of tracking tools and Jira and GitLab and all of that. And we now have the ability to have many developers working in our products at the same time. And at that point in time, we also switched from the ClickSense and AWS and whatnot to using Snowflake and using Astrato. At this point in time, we also revamped our X12 to allow it to scale and have collaborative models, allow multiple developers to be working on all of those projects at the same time. This significantly reduced our costs. This also allowed us to have more customers in our products. So we had, on our previous platform, it would take us about a weekend to reload our clients' data. We are talking about this X12 data. It has billions of rows of data. So it's not an insignificant amount of processing. Using Snowflake, we've been able to go from a weekend to, Ryan would have to comment on exactly how long it is, but it's hours instead of a weekend. For some of our specific products, we went from a 3-hour processing time to 15 minutes. So it's a significant improvement at a lower cost. At the same time, we were also able to use Astrato's platform to enhance all of our products. So we took that time to revamp things and reorganize, but we also were able to incorporate Astrato's actions and really the customization of the pages allowed us to make our products our own instead of using a BI tool and presenting our data, but it was very clearly a BI tool before. Now this is something that is integrated into our system and looks like Switch. It does not look like it's Clarke or Tableau or something like that. So it really allowed us to customize things to our needs. And now, finally, our very soon to be live platform, we are moving from our internal X12 parsing. Our internal X12 parsing works just fine, and it is something that was developed in-house. That said, that's not really our core focus. Our core focus is transforming that data and then adding the value on top of that. So right now, with us parsing that data and managing it in-house, it is time intensive. It takes someone to maintain that. So we are switching to use EDI Analytics. It is a faster way to process the data, and it offloads the management to someone else. So we can use that data and add value, keeping with our core reason for our business. Any questions on that? Otherwise, I will pass it along to Ryan to talk about how they parse that data and use it at EDI Analytics.
All right. If we could hop over to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to take a quick detour and focus on the ETL behind Switch and kind of talk about how Snowflake was critical in the scaling this operation. While Melissa focuses on the Astrato results that we're pulling from Snowflake. So just the background on Switch and our journey with EDI. We've been parsing EDI files for several years now. And throughout that journey, we've learned a few things and found that extracting this EDI data into an optimal format for Astrato could actually be done algorithmically. So we decided to extract that algorithm and created EDI Analytics from it. The whole focus there was EDI is a B2B document widely used in healthcare as well as many other industries. And this algorithm is independent of the healthcare format. So we decided to pull it out and make it its own thing. The value of EDI specifically is it's a standardized format between businesses. So being the vendor space that Switch is, we can actually just ask our clients to send a data file that they're already generating rather than request a custom data extract that could take weeks or even months and that we've seen historically, and then just give us data that they've already been generating. So that comes with a few challenges with the EDI format. The standardization is more of a guideline, so you have to account for minor differences between hospital systems and payers and how they're actually generating these files. The parsing of the file is causal, so you have to know where you are in the file to know what the next line actually means. So you can't just like parallel extract and identify all these fields together. Another challenge we saw was terabytes of data coming in at inconsistent feeds. Some files were a few kilobytes, others were several gigabytes. And then finally, once you actually normalize all this data for the two formats that we're using, 837, 835, claims and remits, they would turn into over 200 tables with 3,000 columns. And creating that in a star schema and feeding into Astrato would be a lot of real-time joins that were being executed that were proving difficult for performance sake. So we needed to optimize our data model into something that was more appropriate. And then the last challenge that we had is we had to support real-time applications for real-time analytical capabilities. Files coming in, we needed to manipulate them and send them out the door as fast as possible. So a lot of challenges with these files. If we could hop over to the next slide, we could dive into SwitchRCM's previous architecture. So where we're currently at and what we're trying to transition away from, which is working, but there are some cons here. But we had a real-time transactional system running on Kubernetes and Postgres and writing data to RDS and Postgres. And our analytical system was in Snowflake with our BI system over in Astrato. And we're using a change data capture solution to feed the data from Postgres to Snowflake. So the real-time operations were handled in the top tier on the transactional system. And then our analytical system was handled on Snowflake with the scheduled dbt reloads. Some of the issues we ran into with on the dbt side of things, we were running into issues with the time-based reloads. They were proving to be a challenge, especially for some of the transformations that we needed to display for our clients. And then the record-based reloads were actually costly and didn't scale very well. On top of that, we've made quite a few journeys from like going down from weekend processing to hour-long processing, and this is where this current system is at. And the last thing is just like all of this code that we'd have to maintain and modify and just make sure it was working properly on the day-to-day operation. So yeah, this is our current architecture. If we could hop over to the next slide, we can talk about the EDI Analytics architecture and how Snowflake came in with a few of their new features to actually drive us into, I would say, probably the optimal solution for EDI handling. So to start with, Snowflake released Snowpark Container Services, which allows you to deploy custom Docker containers on Snowflake that run as a native app. What this means is you're running custom code inside of your Snowflake network that all of the data going in and out of this application doesn't leave your network. Like as a client, it's all contained in the app. So this is a huge plus when it comes to security and HIPAA compliance. The next feature that they had that was pretty critical for us was tables, which allowed us to pull that transactional workflow directly into Snowflake, as these hybrid tables could support low latency and other relational database mechanics that are helpful for transactional systems, such as like foreign keys, indexes, unique constraints, and so on. And then the last key difference that Snowflake allowed us to do is allowing us to use this parallel copy into statements to optimize the extraction and loading into Snowflake prior to their specific application DBT transformations. Some features of this architecture is the data is contained in Snowflake. We're now able to support real-time updates, and we have this optimal remodel where we went from 200 plus tables down to just a few several. I think it's around 11 tables total now, which is great for Astrato to query in real time. And we've also seen a 70 to 80% in cost savings. Lastly, the nice little feature here is this app is also available on the Snowflake Marketplace as a native app, so anyone can just install it and run it directly in their own Snowflake account. So that's the end of the ETL journey here. So I'll hand it over back to Melissa so she could dive into the interesting visualizations done in Astrato that we have from this EDI data.
Okay. So this is our underpayments application. It takes that X12 data that Ryan was speaking about. It takes specifically things called claims, or 837 in the X12 speak, and remits, which are payments, or 835s in X12 speak. It combines them, and it also combines payer contracts. So payer contracts are in the United States, how healthcare works is when you get a service, you have an insurance company, and an insurance company is essentially, every States has to have an insurance company. You pay for premiums, and so at that point in time, companies and the hospitals negotiate rates. So let's say I go to the hospital on the street and get a service. It might cost, to a different hospital, it might cost $150. This is very critical to this application. So with all of those different rates for the same service, providers are often underpaid. So insurance will forget to add them to a contract, or a provider moves from one hospital to another. Ways or reasons why a provider can be underpaid. This application takes all of that data, so the X12 data, the contracts data, marries it all together and looks for reasons for why a provider was potentially underpaid. It then aggregates that data, combines it into like situations to allow our users to gather that data together in our Astrato app and present that data to the insurance companies to ask for a correct payment. And this is the visualizations of that data. So on the left-hand side here, you can see the potential underpayments for a particular organization. You can see the breakdown of those insurance companies in the middle. And on the right, you can see the timeline of when those potential underpayments occurred. Astrato is very interactive, so you can come in here and select a particular time period. You can drill into any of the data. So let's say I wanted to drill into this particular insurance plan, I can do so. And then on the left-hand side here, this is where we can see those potentials for underpayment. So in this case, we can see that our system was able to identify the majority of them. We do have one that is called unknown. Unknown is where our system was not able to automatically determine why the payer underpaid. And for those situations, we have analysts that come into this tool, look at this data, and then look for patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and select a particular procedure code. A procedure code is one of those services that, so when you go to a hospital or a doctor, a procedure code is what you were getting done there. So in this case, I've selected one called 99214. It's just a regular doctor's visit. All right, so we have a variety of screens that our analysts are able to use to look for patterns in that data. The patterns will indicate to them why something was underpaid. So when something is underpaid, the analyst can't simply go to the insurance company and say, you didn't pay this right. There needs to be a reason in it. So using the patterns that we generate in Astrato, it allows them to figure out what that reason is. So we have a couple of graphs that I wanted to highlight. We have our allowable compare, which this graph shows you what percent of what we expected that the insurance company actually paid. So let's say the service was $100. In this case, they would have paid $52.90. So you get the idea here. So in this case, our analysts can look at graphs like this, or they can go to one of our other graphs. We have dimension compare here, which allows our users to pick a variety of different ways to break down that data. So if I wanted to look at our claim filing indicator, or in this case, I'm looking at where the service was provided, they can find the patterns in the data. We have a variety of different graphs and ways that they can look at the same data, because depending on what the issue is, the pattern or the issue might show itself better based on what the graph is. So we allow the users to look at a variety of different graphs of the same data to look for patterns. Once the user does find what the issue is, they can go to our details page. The details page allows them to create a report that is custom to the insurance company. So in our industry, all of the insurance companies need data, but they need it in a different way. So some may require date of service, some might not require that kind of thing. So the custom report allows us to create a report on the fly without any technical person involved, without asking for a report or waiting for that. It allows just the analysts to create their own report for their own needs. So in this case, I'm just going to create one very quickly just to show you the ease of use of it. And here we go. I've created a report on the fly of all of the data that matched my particular situation, and it's completely able to be used in the application or extracted in an Excel to give to those insurance companies. Any questions? Otherwise, Jonathan, I can hand it back to you.
I do have a question for you, Melissa. So I love the fact that custom report, right? And I know that's one of the strong points that Astrato brings to the table. In the past, what did that process look like for your analysts?
Sure. So we have used Astrato or some version of the predecessor of the custom report for quite some time. Honestly, that was a driver for our company. So we've used the custom report for years. We would not have been able to do this without the custom report. It is something in some of our other applications. We have our Epic applications. We have users that are not technical at all. They just work at the hospitals. They're report writers that all they do is use the custom report. So they come in every day, they generate reports, package them up, and send them on their way to the various stakeholders at their organization. So it's quite critical for us. For them, prior to using Switch's products, they would have to work with a report writer who's a technical person. They would have to write out all of the reports or the requirements for the report, submit it, wait for that report to get into their queue, and then get it back. If it was wrong, they'd have to submit a ticket to get it corrected. Additionally, the people that are writing the reports are often not healthcare industry people. They are tech people. So the translation of the two things was not always accurate for them. So having people that understand the business, being able to see the data presented to them in a way that they can essentially not mess it up by writing SQL queries or something like that they don't know how to do, has really allowed them to streamline their businesses.
No, I appreciate that. So that long iterative process, being able to connect the IT speak to the business speak, all of those hurdles are now gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what impact has that had for you guys at SwitchRCM?
Yeah.
Like, is that a more clients? Is that faster time to market?
Yeah.
What does that competitive advantage look like for
Sure.
you guys?
It depends on the product. For our so the product that I demoed to you, we do have clients using it, but it's mostly an internal product that allows our analysts faster time to find those issues, compile those issues, and get them over to our clients for faster repayment of the underpayments that I was speaking about. For the Epic Analytics products, where we have a lot of client end users using the products, it allows them to really dive into the data and create reports with more meaningful use, and allows them to deliver them to either the leaders of the organizations or to the providers in a quicker manner.
No, that's great. I appreciate that. Great. I didn't see if there were any other questions come in.
Don't think
No,
so.
I think we're good. Okay, great. I appreciate it, Melissa. Ryan, appreciate it. I'm gonna turn it over to Joe Warbington.
Perfect. I just have a few slides to maybe set the stage of where Snowflake fits into the mix. And knowing Melissa and Ryan and Jonathan and everybody from the past, kind of where this fits in, so I'll add some color. But you've seen a lot of that today of where the analytics side of Astrato fits into Snowflake. It powers that. It allows people to build data products and really store it once, collaborate with it, have the security and governance Jonathan was talking about, and really get into the hands of people faster. So it's powering that platform in a way. And then from Ryan at Switch, you've seen how actually in my less than 3 years here at Snowflake, brand new capabilities come online, like the containers that he mentioned, Snowpark services, data engineering, and now AI, of course, are all just baked in, and people are taking advantage of that. He's built a new, effectively a company off of this as well by offering that native app on the platform. So it's truly a data platform that allows organizations to use all kinds of capabilities. And really, it's one place to go for all kinds of things you need to do with data and AI. And that's really our mission. When we talk about what this means as well, it's not just a platform, but it's the content side as well. So we want to make it super easy for organizations to get the data from outside of the organization that can help enrich what they do. And in the world of healthcare, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's really important. Not everything is stored in that EHR. It's not all in Epic. It might be in the payer's hands, or it's coming across these different files. And the content side is our connection also into companies like EDI Analytics that Ryan has, where you can go out and get that native app and additional data sets likely in the future. So we want to bring together both the platform and the content. On the next one, talking more specifically about what this means in healthcare, this little image, a snow globe, effectively, we call it, is the connections that Snowflake provides. And, I gave some examples here on the screen, but what we see, and really one of my driving factors of joining Snowflake was, it's just so easy now for organizations to securely share their data. While we're still going to have, feeds and speeds and feeds, there's going to be opportunities where the health system can collaborate privately and securely with the payers that they work with and eliminate traditional feeds back and forth. So we're knocking in on that. Or if you need to enrich, say, the SwitchRCM platform of data and get credit history data from Experian or Equifax to understand patients' propensity to pay and very important aspects of RCM, those data sets are out there. And you don't need to download them. You just simply connect to them. And there are plenty of free sources out there on the Snowflake marketplace that lots of our healthcare systems connect to. And then, Melissa touched on this, just the volume of data alone. When you're talking terabytes of information, you definitely don't want to have to go out to a secure FTP portal, try to download this, figure out which data model. So when you see things like the med device company at the top, or somebody sitting on all the claims across all the US like Strata does, they're able to use Snowflake to share that securely and allow people to basically peek into their Snowflake system without trading the data. And that's going to allow you to use all of that without having to store it again and bring it into your analytical tools like Astrato. So I really like this because collaborations in healthcare is what it's all about. Data lives everywhere, and this dense network that has formed over the years is a really compelling aspect of that. Drilling in a little bit further on the next one here, for healthcare systems on the line, the customers of the SwitchRCMs of the world, should be pretty familiar. It's the quadruple aim. And today we talked a lot about reducing the cost of care. And this is, avoiding underpayments, helping to make sure you do charge capture so that you can reclaim a lot of that. And I have, colleagues on that support the payer and insurance side. And oftentimes it seems like there's a battle in the market. Ultimately, we're all trying to take better care of patients, reduce the cost of care. So when health systems are able to better bill and have more documentation to support these things, they're able to perhaps improve those razor thin margins that are common in healthcare, and some are in the negative. So when we can, when you can work with like a SwitchRCM and really tackle those types of very important use cases and find needles in the haystack, you're going to uncover money that's going to help keep those doors open. And I remember hearing this quote from one of the CMIOs at Jefferson Health that if there's no money, there's no mission. I mean, when you have to turn away patients at the door, you can't expand your health system, you can't do these things, it's going to impact care. So all of these are intrinsically linked, but if we can't keep our finances straight, you're going to have issues with everything. So then, what we find too, and as I shared this diagram on the next slide, and it's just kind of fun. We use this value board quite a bit with our customers. It's now a rainbow as I moved it over to Astrato, so it's even more colorful than I had imagined it would be. But we sit down and we work with organizations to help them understand what are others, your peers building, how can you bring new capabilities to your existing solutions. Like we heard from Melissa, they've been doing this for many years. And when new technology comes on the market, hopefully it's something that's going to allow you to do the same thing faster, save time. Not having to work the weekends, I imagine, is quite a nice thing when it can get done in 15 minutes now versus days. And so we want to help organizations tackle these important use cases and pull in the right capabilities and technology behind it. And so in that green line in the middle, that's, an area where, say, SwitchRCM plays really well in the revenue integrity, underpayments area, helping with real-time claims and fraud, because you're able to see EDI files coming in and get that information faster than usually the weeks or months that you have to wait for it to land in a very structured area in your EHR. So when you can do this, you can close those care gaps, you can reclaim these things, you can build better. And again, all of these are really important use cases that we see across health systems. And if you're lacking in any one of these areas, it could impact the others. So again, quadruple aim, and we're seeing solutions across the board. And those stories, I know we'll get into a Q&A, but really, really happy to see where SwitchRCM has grown over the years. And I'm definitely one that was pushing Melissa and Nate originally, like, you guys are doing this great stuff. Why aren't you in all these other customers? Why aren't you, expanding super quick? And I love that her story. We wanted to keep it small and grow at a certain pace and make it sustainable. So that work-life balance is awesome, and I really appreciate that. That's all I had, Jonathan. We can hop into Q&A, maybe pull everybody in.
Yeah, happy to do so. And then I've got a couple of slides to wrap up. So why don't I stop sharing for a minute and get us all back on screen. Love the journey. And Joe, I know, you've got a passion and a long time history, right, in healthcare. What's been the biggest shift in your opinion as you've moved into Snowflake from some of the other things? What are you able to do now that, maybe 5-10 years ago you weren't able to do?
I think we're always at this like intersection of we've never been for lack of data. That's never been an issue, but there's a lot less time in a lot of ways. So that the systems have to keep up with the amount of data that gets generated, and even just structured data alone is a lot. But you add in X-rays, claims files, these things, it's just unwieldy. So you need analytics tools, you need platforms in the cloud that can scale with that business. But we can't just throw technology at it and hope people will use it right. So the simplicity is huge. And that's, I think, where Snowflake, Astrato, Switch, EDI, we're all trying to make it simpler for these organizations to use this technology. And that's something that ultimately, I think it all comes down to just saving time. You have so much more to work with, and you only have so many minutes and hours in the day, and you don't want to be doing this stuff in the evenings and over the weekends. But we're throwing a lot of data at people. So that's what I see as changing. We're always trying to, find that new thing that's going to help folks out. And that's what I really like seeing this. So it's an evolution. It's never like from scratch, but what I've seen you guys do and accomplish over the years is really cool. And I thought it was awesome like 5-6 years ago. And to see where you're at today is like, everybody should have stuff like this.
Great. Appreciate it. And Ryan, I know you were integral in helping to make that shift, right, internally from tools and platforms. What was it that drove you to make the decisions you made?
Cost, offloading tech that we didn't want to maintain. So having tools like Snowflake and Astrato to take the technical lift out of Switch when Switch is focused on just delivering revenue cycle results. That was critical there. So
in the past, Ryan, you've been with a lot of different tools, right? A lot of technology background. What's been the biggest shift for you?
The adoption of columnar databases, databases that are optimized for querying results for big data, essentially. That was a big shift of just of how you have to approach certain problems too. You're just like, oh, okay, so this is how I used to do things, but here's how I'm doing things now, and it makes life so much easier. So be the biggest change from my end of things.
Okay, so want to give you guys just a couple, quick ideas, right? We've talked about kind of the capabilities and powers of Astrato. So everything you see here is all built with Astrato. These aren't web pages. We make it very easy to embed your analytics into portals, into dashboards, to white label, whatever it is. So no one really understands or knows that they're using Astrato. So it really becomes your product and allows you to be able to monetize the data that you have inside of your organization. Whether it's supply chain operations, right? We've got lots of use cases. We talked about a lot of the healthcare use cases, but even inside of healthcare organizations, I've yet to find a hospital system that doesn't have supply chain and operations. So, as you look to what are some of the potential use cases, we kind of have them all covered. If it's your finance team and FinOps, I appreciate, I've worked and spoken to a lot of CFOs in the past. So getting them to adopt a new tool, I know can be difficult, but if you're looking for one version of the truth, being able to have all of that data reside inside of Snowflake and then in real time be able to update inside of Astrato, a huge use case for a lot of our clients and customers. And then, right, other data apps. So if you want to be able to then even use some of the data science capabilities that Snowflake has to offer, or write Python, whatever that is, for all you data scientists, you can then visualize it in real time inside of Astrato.
No, thank you so much. It's great to get back together and see what folks are up to.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you guys taking the time. I appreciate everyone joining us. Until next time, you know how to find us, and appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us.
Good to see you.
Have a good day.